We are the crystal gems. And I'm not going to sing any more than that because I don't want to get flagged. Because, yeah, even singing stuff will get you there depending on how aggressive the bots are. But, yeah, guess what I finally started getting around to? Steven Universe. Or more accurately, both me and my kid are watching this. This has become the new show that we are catching up on together. Other shows that we've done that with it that we've watched together: Hilda, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, Owl House, Amphibia. So this is the latest one that we've latched onto to watch together, and we finished the first season. Actually, at time of recording, we are almost on the second season, which happened shockingly fast, partly because the second season is about half, actually less than half of the length of the first season. Actually, even more. It's even shorter than that because we skipped the first episode because the first episode of the second season was a non-canon crossover with a cartoon that I had no interest in. So yeah. But that's getting off topic. Steven Universe, season 1. This is an odd little show. And I know it gets deeper and has more of a ongoing story later on. But first season wise, it's a weird little show. Firstly, it's interesting to me that it kind of drops you immediately into things with virtually no exposition. It just starts, and Steven lives with the gems. The gems go on missions to do these things. You don't really know why. You don't really know why their presence is normalized in this town, why nobody thinks they're weird, why nobody's asking questions, why Steven's not asking questions. It just kind of gets going. Now, I'm not going to say you never come across that, but where you rarely come across that is anything ostensibly set on Earth in the more or less real world. I mean, it's a cartoon version of the real world, but ostensibly in the real world with similar base rules that the gems are exempt from or kind of on the outside of. Now, when you have something set up like that, you normally have to devote a ton of time into explaining what is different about this setup, since it is otherwise the real world, and you have to zero in on the differences. Whereas honestly, when you're dealing with a completely fantastical world, a completely made up place, you can just drop people in a bit more because they understand they're going to have to pick up a lot of the context as they go, and they can't take a lot of things for granted. But here, there is a lot of stuff you can take for granted, and as a result, they're not going to explain much of anything. Now, I say interesting. Now, interesting can be a loaded term. It can be a very neutral one, actually. And there are bad things out there that can be interesting. For me, it works. It was an odd way to get started. But then again, how many episodes of shows actually have their opening pilot episode that explains everything be all that interesting? They just skipped it. Okay. And the other thing is, the first season, it has a lot of wackiness. It has a lot of non sequiturs. And while I'm going to try and avoid getting into the second season, I will say I appreciate that the second season is a bit more focused in terms of a narrative, while still having a lot of the wackiness, but the wackiness is not the point of any given episode. Whereas season 1 being over 50 episodes long, a lot of times just the wacky scenario is the whole thing. And that's fine, but that's not, at least for me, going to be what appeals to me as much. Although it does sort of get you used to the characters and get a handle on them. This is an odd situation where I'm not sure I have a favorite character. And that's rare for me. I find everybody interesting, but I haven't had anyone to be like love them. But I like pretty much everybody. Although some can grate on me. Amethyst can be a bit much sometimes. Honestly, Steven can be a bit much sometimes. Don't make a drinking game out of him going, guys, come on. Because holy crap. You'll be dead after 3 episodes. And that's another thing. If you don't watch the show, episodes are 11 minutes long. So you can despite it being over 50 episodes, you can burn through it pretty dang quick. But I like Greg, Steven's dad. He's grown on me over time. I kind of liked Garnet immediately, but she is stoic to the point of being a little bit off-putting. Not like in a way that like I don't like this character, but in a way that's like, I don't know how much I can say I do like this character because I don't know how well I actually know her. Now, there's some stuff tied to that's a little bit more spoilery towards the end of the first season that I'm going to save for a little bit for when I do outright spoilers. And there's also a handful of things that are just weird. Even by the standards of the show, are just weird. Like, Onion is weird. Like, I'm not alone on that. Onion is freaking weird. I don't know what is going on there. But overall, it does a solid job of just sort of acclimating you to these characters and this setting with a lot of light, bouncy, very just cartoonish episodes with like little hints at a greater story, a bigger danger. But it kind of treats the audience the way the gems treat Steven. You don't need to know this yet. I mean, if you're paying attention, you'll catch little bits about it, but like, you don't need to know this yet. Don't worry about it, kid. So I suppose that's fitting in a way. I do enjoy the songs when characters just sing out of nowhere. I think the first one that it was like, oh, that's real good stuff was Steven singing Giant Woman, which I feel like I know this is a slightly cynical and mildly dark perspective to have, but I feel like I'm getting to the point where both looking back at the cartoons that were bigger when I was a kid and cartoons now, I'm like, I feel like I can pinpoint the inclinations and kinks and fetishes that somebody in 20 years is going to look back and realize this inspired. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, I have no doubt led to a whole bunch of furries. Zootopia is going to re-up another whole generation of furries. And, just stuff like that. But this thing's going to inspire some serious Amazon giantess kinks. Just saying. I mean, Greg's right there. He clearly has a type. So as the show kind of moved its way forward, I mean, I'm gonna get into stuff that's a little bit more spoilery. I'm gonna get into some of the specifics. First, I kind of want to talk about I want to talk about fusions because I kind of have to set up the other thing I really want to talk about. Now, the notion of fusions was interesting, and I think I'd read somewhere at some point that like fusions were metaphor for sex. They're barely a metaphor. Like when Amethyst and Garnet formed Sugalite, that was not subtle. Between Pearl covering Steven's eyes and being all blushing about it, to the fact that the move Garnet pulled immediately before Amethyst connected with her was just a spread the legs as wide as possible. Like I'm kind of shocked they got away with that. But even like prior to that, the metaphor of the dance, because dance as seduction or even dance as sex is a pretty viable analogy in a lot of cases. But then like they kind of went all out with it. So now that I've kind of talked fusions a little bit, the specific thing that I like, this was so well done. This was so well done. I love the twist reveal that Garnet is a fusion and that we didn't know that. So here's the thing. When it comes to Steven Universe spoilers, I know a lot of them already. a lot of them I've just kind of absorbed through osmosis. Like, I know some of the later twists in regards to Rose Quartz specifically. I know some of the stuff in terms of things we learn about Pearl, and like I'm already starting to see her hang-ups bleed into things. So like I know some of the stuff that's going to be coming up, just by existing anywhere near the fan spaces. I didn't know this one. And like the fact that I know some spoilers is not an invitation to drop a bunch of spoilers down there. Don't do that. Because there's probably other stuff I don't know. But I did not know this about Garnet. And this, the execution of this is my favorite way to execute twists, which is to turn something that you just took for granted and assumed you knew and just turned it on its head. Because for me, the worst way to execute any twist is when it is painfully obvious that a twist is coming. The worst way to do it is that there is something that is going on that it's just, why is this happening? We don't understand why this is happening. There's a big question mark. There's a thing that doesn't make sense. So obviously there's a twist that is going to slot into that thing that makes sense. You know it's coming. The best kind of twists, for me, are twists where everything already makes sense. And so when the twist happens, everything now makes a new kind of sense. And once the reveal happened that Garnet was a fusion, which it didn't, like, in hindsight, there were so many hints. And then ultimately when we saw Ruby and Sapphire as separate entities and then saw them fuse into Garnet, I was like, oh my God, I actually paused it. At that point, so my kid and I could kind of like digest and process what just happened, because I never would. I had no reason to think that. Now, in hindsight, looking back, there are so many hints to this. Like, she had a gem in the palm of each hand. She had 2 gems, but I didn't think anything of it because she had 2 weapons. You know, the glove on each fist. So I had no reason to question that, especially because I didn't ever make the connection. Each gem definitely only has 1 gem. I've kind of made the connection that they're linked to their, whatever their weapon power, whatever thing is. I like made that, but I didn't stop to think, oh, she's got 2. And even like later when the glasses slip down and we see that she's got a 3rd eye, I'm just like, oh, that's a little weird. And then even later than that, we see fusions, and we see that fusions result in multiple eyes for the people involved. I didn't make the connection back. Garnet's got 3 eyes. In hindsight, I should have known, but I didn't. And that is going to be one of, because I feel like Steven Universe is decently well known. That's going to be one of my new go-to examples on how to do twists right. Because yes, everything already made sense. Now it just makes a different kind of sense. And you realize this isn't something that suddenly changed. You're realizing what was going on the entire time. Love that. Love that twist. And we've got now at this point other gems in the mix. There's Lapis, there's Peridot, there's I forget what the other one was. The sort of loud, shouty, big muscly one. I don't remember what her name was. But I'm happy to keep going. And like I said, I'm not going to review season 2 yet, but we are not too far away from finishing it. So that might come relatively soon. But yeah, this is a fun show. And the way it's evolving as I'm coming to understand the background better. And what I love is, like, it never feels like a lore dump, because background information comes up as it is relevant to what's happening right now. And so things don't feel like lore dumps. And instead, it's just like I said, it's treating the audience like Steven. The point at which something has happened that, well, Steven needs to know this, especially now, given what we're dealing with. That's when we tell Steven, and that's when the audience finds out. I'm liking that way of parsing out the information for the grander stories in the bigger universe. I'm digging this so far, and I look forward to more. Steven Universe, Season 1, what'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. Got the Patreon. That's how I pay my bills. Any amount you're able to support is a big help, but don't worry too much about it. Take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. Thanks for sticking around into the credits. None of this would have been possible without my Patreon supporters in particular. I want to thank Robin Powell, Tracy Scrabbit, Vincent Paul Bartolucci, Robin Moore, Shayla Gourlay, and Bookworm. Thanks for keeping this going. And to everybody,